Hello and welcome to another review, but this one is special because today I have been on YouTube for 6 years. Wow, 6 years on YouTube, and this is one out of 2 specials planned to commemorate my 6th anniversary. I did it last year during my 5th anniversary, if you can recall, and I've done it again this year, but only because I couldn't decide between 2 videos basically. But why not? It was popular last year when I do it, so there's no harm doing it again this year. Now the model we are looking at today is brand new. It's just arrived in the post, but it's not just brand new, it's also made by Hornby, as you can see. There is no prices for getting that at all, and it is a Class 09. Now at this point I'm sure some of you are thinking, well hang on a minute, that's not a Class 09, that's a Class 08. They are both very similar shunters, but there are differences between the two. The first difference is, most of the Class 08s had ladders. Okay, if you look at the ones now that are on the network, such as the ones owned by DB Schenker and even the one that's in service with Network Rail, don't have any ladders. But they did have them originally. The Class 09s had no ladders. Also, the Class 09s have different gearings and a motor compared to that what was in a Class 08. And also, the Class 09s have cables, as you can see there in the picture. They have cables at the front and cables at the back. You can just make them out there. But apart from those differences, there are still similar things. Now Bachmanns do make these as well. I used to have one made by Bachmanns. Its running number was 09006, but I've recently sold that to get a Class 08. A Hornby one, not a Bachmanns one. I did originally think about replacing the Bachmanns 09 with a Bachmanns 08, but if I'm honest, Hornby's Class 08s and Class 09s, doesn't matter which you get, they are much better. And you'll see why in just a second when I open it up. They are just absolutely ace. Now Hornby do several of these in many different liveries. They do them in BR green, which is a really nice livery, don't get me wrong, but I was after a livery that would have been seen around the 90s to early 2000s period. So I didn't go for BR green, but I do plan on getting an 08 in BR green. But apart from that, didn't want an 09 in that livery. Then there's BR blue, which is an okay model, but again, I wasn't after a blue one. Well, a BR blue one, should I say. And also, I don't know if this is just me, but when it comes to Class 08s or Class 09s, the BR blue ones are harder to get. I don't know why, because not many model shops sell them. But that could be just me though. Then there's the EWS ones, which is a livery that's still seen today despite the fact that EWS is now owned by DB Schenker. Now, if I'm honest, I am not a massive fan on the EWS livery. There are people out there that do like it, and if I'm honest, I do like some things in that livery. But I'm not a massive fan of it. I'm not the sort that would talk about it constantly all the time. Then there's the Cotswold livery, which is basically silver with Cotswold written on the side in blue and red. But I do not like that livery at all. It just doesn't appeal to me. Rail Freight Distribution, however, is a classic livery, but I just think it's lacking something. Freightliner, now that's a livery just like with the EWS that's still seen today. But to cut it short, I did not want a shunter in Freightliner livery. And it's actually more harder to get hold of, even more harder than BR Blue. And then there's the more recent ones. Serco and Intercity spring to mind. Now the Intercity one, that's an alright livery. It's a classic livery. But the only problem with that one is, it would look better, honestly, it would look better shunting Intercity stock. And the only thing I have in Intercity livery is the 225. Or the Class 91 to you lot. And I don't have any intercity coaches either, which I might do at some point. I haven't decided that yet, but that doesn't mean I'll get the Class 08 in that livery. So yeah, the Class 08, it would look better shunting into city coaches. And as for the Serco one, it's just not my cup of tea. I am not fond of the red and grey livery, and I never saw anything in that livery. But some people do like that livery. But, you know, at the end of the day, we've all got different tastes. Some people might go for the Freightliner one, or the Serco, or the BR Green one, or even the Cosworth one. But whatever livery you get them in, it's still a Hornby Class 08 or a Class 09. Detail wise, it's not really changed, it's just in different liveries. Now the one that I have gone for is, well, was a ModelZone exclusive, and the reason why I say was is because it's out of stock now, and it is 09019 or 09019 to some people that like everything to be perfect, in Mainline livery. Now this is the livery that would have been seen around the 90s to early 2000s. It's not around now, boo-hoo, but it is a livery I did see when I was little. I saw Class 58s, 37s, Class 60s and the odd Class 31 in the livery here and there. I never saw any shunters to my knowledge in Mainline livery, sorry. But it is a really smart livery. Just look at the dark blue and the Mainline logo, and the lining that goes around the body, and where the windows are at the cab. And even the cab roof and the top of the logo are painted black. And that just makes the model stand out. And the Mainline livery, it's definitely one of the smarter liveries out there. It's much smarter and attractive than Serco, Freightliner and Cosworth by far. And this model was involved in a toss-up between getting either this one or Dick Hardy. Now there's nothing wrong with Dick Hardy, don't get me wrong, because some people do go for that engineer's grey livery. Because, you know, like I said, we've all got different tastes. I went for this one and I'm really, really glad I did. Because just look at it. It's just so nice. But anyway, let's get this model open and see what it's like, because we've done enough chit chat for now. Oh, before I do though, this model is brand new, and you can actually still get this. Some shops do sell it. This one came from S&J Models and I bought it for £65, which compared to what they would usually cost is a bargain. There's also another shop I saw on the internet that was selling one for 80 quid. I forgot the name of it, but it was still selling this model. So, we take the packaging out of the box. Now as you can see, even though it's brand new, there's no tissue paper on the model. But then I don't really care anyway, because I hate that stuff anyway. It's pointless. And it's much easier to not have tissue paper and go straight to the model. Anyway, we'll get the rest of the stuff out, because we don't want to waste any time, do we? So here's the standard Hornby box. We've all seen it before, it's nothing new. So I'll put that to one side. And then here we have the card insert with a picture on the model on. Again, nothing new. Super detail. Now that definitely means something here, folks. Okay, well, to be fair, it usually does with Hornby's premium models. But to those of you that are not familiar with this model, and I'm sure there are people out there that are not familiar, these models really are super detail. Enough said. Then here's the instructions for the Class 09/08. Again, apart from the differences, it's still a gronk, which is what they were nicknamed. Or as some people like to call them, shoe boxes on wheels. But it depends whichever way you look at it, I suppose. So, we'll open up the instruction manual. Oh, hello, what's this? Ah, yeah, it's just that. And it's pretty much the usual stuff. Removing the body, replacing the motor, though why would you want to replace the motor anyway? It's weird. Lubrication points for where it has to be lubricated, and fitting the details. So that'll go to one side. And then we have this, the DCC jacket, the pile of garbage that causes controversy now. And then we are left with the packaging, which is the box that splits in two. Now I know I've said this loads of times whenever I've had this packaging with a model, but it's my favourite packaging. I really do love it because it's interesting. There's nothing else like this box anywhere. Because, well, we all know the story with the Hornby packaging. We have to use 2 fingers to shove into 2 holes to get the model out of. It's much better than that. It's also better than the plastic packaging that Hornby, Bachmanns and even Helgen are now using, because it's not really ideal. And as for the foam packaging that V-Trains use, on that point we'll just go straight to the opening. So all we need to do is just to take these plastic clips off, or bands, whatever you want to call it. And when I mean bands, I don't mean bands like the Beetle. So we'll take these clips and put them to one side, and we'll look at the accessory pack first. And so it's pretty much the usual stuff: vacuum pipes and chain link couplings. Though whether any of this will go on the model itself is beyond me, because it is going to be a shunter after all, and the details might get in the way. But if I don't use them, they'll go into the spares. Where there's a will, there's a way. Then all we need to do is just take the plastic cover off, like so, and to get the top of the box off. And we get this pointless hard foam inside. We'll just get rid of that, and here's the top. Although there is some dry adhesive on these parts of the box, so maybe it came off that and the glue just dried out. So then all we need to do is just to carefully handle the model and pick it out. Then we'll get rid of the base of the box, because we don't really need that in shot, do we? And bring the model into shot. Carefully, because you don't want to break any of the details. Wow. Just look at this. This is what I mean, folks, by Hornby's models being ace. Just look at how stunning they are. And this is why they are much better than Bachmanns. So where do we start? Well, for starters, we have sprung metal buffers at the front. And it's not the plastic ones that Bachmanns use. But then, as nice as it is to have sprung buffers, they're only really there for play, because you're only going to touch them when you're handling the model. When you're running the model itself, you will not be touching the sprung buffers. And as some of the more serious critics like to put it, sprung buffers are somewhat pointless. But, you know, that's entirely up to them. Oh, interestingly, we've already got a chain link coupling at the front there. So, why was there some in the pack? I don't know. It's one of them weird things. There's rivets on the buffer beam, as you can see, and NEM couplings. You've also got steps there with rivets on them. Now just look at these handrails. When Bachmanns do them, they are flimsy and they are loose, and you can actually fiddle them about. This is not the case with the Hornbys, so well done Hornby on doing that. You've not done a Bachmanns and done what, in my opinion, is a sloppy job on these, because they can break easy. But well done, Hornby. You've also got some cables at the front there, as you can see, and I like the fact that these ones here are painted white, so they actually stand out. You've got some more detailing around the front there, which is more cables of some sort. And you've got this detailing down here, which in reality, they are lights and they light up. They don't light up on the model, but then again it's stunning enough and they don't need to light up. Besides, the Bachmanns models don't light up anyway. You could fit lights if you wanted to, but at the end of the day they do look a bit flimsy. There's also some more lamp points here as well at the bottom. There's also a nice texture of grills at the front here on the model, which is what the locos have in real life, and that's a really nice touch. There's also 2 lamp points at the front there, as you can see, and there. Now we'll be careful with them because I don't want to break them. And again, these lamp points, these are something that the Bachmanns model lacks. Then you've also got the hazard warning stripes at the front and the back. Now some people call it the wasp striping. I prefer to call it the hazard stripes. Because, you know, yellow and black, you've seen the hazard warning signs, that's why I like to call them hazard stripes. And just look at the cables as well. I know I've already spoke about the cables, but just look at that. That is something that the Bachmann 09s don't have. You've also got some vent at the side there, which is what they should have in real life, and that's really nice detailed. There's also warning signs on the model there as well. I know it's health and safety and they don't use overhead, but the wires are important, because if the bloke doesn't know about the signs and is standing on top of the model where the wires are above, then, well, put it this way, he'll die. That was possibly the weirdest thing I've ever done on a review. But anyway, moving on. Two things that the Hornby model has that the Bachmann one doesn't. Just look at the wind. Opening doors, as you can see, on both sides. The Bachmann ones don't have this. And also, look at this. An opening vent. Now that didn't need to open, but it does. And that is just a really nice touch. Well done on that, Hornby. And it's things like that that make the Hornby one much better than the Bachmann. We'll just drop it down and spin it round. Well, not literally drop it down, because, you know, it will break, but, you know. We also get fantastic detailed side rods. It's not linkage, which is what people call it. I don't know where that word came from, but it's not the technical term. Side rods is. You've also got sanding gear at the side there as well, which is very nicely detailed. Cab steps as well. You've also got this curious detail, which from an angle looks like a lamp, but it's not, but it's there and it's painted and it's a nice touch, and again the Bachmann model doesn't have it. You've also got these springs there as well, and rivets, which is very nice detailed. Hand rails down the sides of the doors on both sides, as you can clearly see. Just look at all the rivets on the model. Just look at the amount you get on the cab and on the sides. Handles on the doors, and there's even glazing as well in the windows. And I like the fact that in this window, this one's half open, and on this side the window's fully open, so there's no glazing there, and that is a really nice touch. I would have thought that was polystyrene then, but that's a bit of detail that's painted white, and that is a really nice touch. Also, look at this. This is something else that the Bachmann model doesn't have, painted cab detail. You should be able to clearly see it there. In fact, if you just look it through that window, you can just see the painted cab interior. And in this one as well. Well done, Hornby, on doing that. Why Bachmann couldn't do it, I don't know. Then the back of the model is just as detailed. Wait for it to focus. There we go. You've got a warning sign at the back and plenty of rivets. Glazing in the back windows and wipers. Sprung buffers as well. Rivets on the buffer beam, and another curious chain link coupling. Then you've got more cables on the back, as you can see, just like the ones on the front. And I like how this one again is painted white, because it stands out. And you've got all these lamp irons on the back as well. Again, that's something else the Bachmann model lacks. And something else it lacks as well. Oh, sorry for the lens cap then. This piping that goes all the way from the underframe and down to the bottom there. And also there's some more piping that goes under the frames there as well, which is painted purple, and it's really nice. Again, well done, Hornby. The livery is also spot on. I cannot fault it. It's accurate like it should be. Just look at the silver lining and the Mainline logo. It's all done accurately. And the black roof and the top as well. Hornby have definitely got this paint job right. And I don't know why the serious critics have to criticise that some of Hornby's liveries are inaccurate, because they're not. You've also got some more rivets at the top there and the panels, and some more details here which look like horns but they're not. I thought that they were originally on the Bachmann model, but they're not, trust me. But then on the Bachmann model anyway, because of how this detailing here is so poorly done, then it would look like horns. Then if the camera will focus, I don't think the camera likes focusing on, oh there we go. Got some more detail in the top and rivets, and there's the exhaust where the diesel fumes come out of, which is really nice. Then you've also got the underframe there as well, which is painted red and has some writing on the bottom, but I can't really read it because of how small it is. You've got the number 09019, or 19 as some people like to call it. That's crisply printed. You've also got these rivets here as well on the tanks. And just look at all these handrails that you get. Do be careful with them now, because they are fragile, so don't pick them up where the handrails are. You've got a shed plate as well, which is not that I was expecting, and it says 73C. Don't know where that is, because I don't really know my sheds that much, so if anybody's kind enough to tell me, then I will know where it is. Then you've got these latches as well on the doors, on these tanks at the bottom. And just look at these nice textured grills on them as well. And some of the detailing there, like these bits on the top, are painted white. That is something that the Bachmann models don't do, but it makes them that they're there. Because if it was unpainted, you wouldn't really know it was there, let's face it. But because it's painted a different colour to the body, then it stands out, and it's just so accurate. You know, it makes it more realistic. And then you've got these on the top of this tank as well, which is painted white. And again, it's pretty much the same story with what I said. That looks just really smart. There's some grills there as well, but I'm not going to feel how etched they are, because there's handrails in the way of them. Which is really cool. There's more sanding gear at the front there as well. Hello! Let's get the thing into shot. There we go. We'll just drop the model down, not literally, and spin it round, because I don't want to break anything. And then on this side it's just as ace. Now look at this. You've got a separate horn there, as you can see. Now the Bachmann model doesn't have that. See, Bachmann, why couldn't you have put these little bits of details on your shunters? Then your Class 08s and 09s would be up to the same standard as the Hornby ones were. But because you didn't do that, they're not. You've got a fuel tank dial there as well, which is very nice, and it's detailed. More extra grills, which is very nice. Now you can fill this ones because they're not covered by handrails. More warning signs, again accurate livery, and the lining that goes from where the cab is to the body. Another accurate logo. Another shed plate, same as the one on the other side, 73C. And all these other detailings as well. And I do love how some of these small details are painted white, because it makes them stand out on the model, and that is just a really nice touch. Some more loads of handrails again, and just look at the underframe. We've got some more piping painted white in this case that runs under the frame. Why couldn't you have done that, Bachmann? Just why? And we've got some more detail there as well, under the cab steps, again painted white. It's actually piping. You've got some more detailing here as well, under the chassis. Again, fantastically detailed side rods, rivets and springs as well. Well, just look at this. Now, I can't compare it to a Bachmann one, but I'll show you something that I can compare it to. It's the cheapo railroad model. Now, it was originally in Dino Safari livery, if you can recall. It's now been painted into what I'm going to call BR Green debranded. You might not think it's BR Green, but it is. if I just get one of my magic pots of paint out, here's a tub of Rail Match BR Green. There's the proof. And if I just put this down by the model, just look at that. Just focus on the colour, nothing else. Not the skull and the crossbones on it. Just the paint. Look at that. That is your proof. And if you're still not convinced, I don't really care, because I did definitely use this paint. But it's not also got away with some weathering as well, just like on the roof, and the side rods have been weathered as well to make it realistic. And on the underframe there as well. That's supposed to be like a mud dirt. And on the hazard warning stripes at the side there, has put some riveting there as well. Weathering, sorry. But it is basic, and it does lack detail. You've got these big chunky couplings that not many people like. There's no glazing in the windows. There is rivets, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't excuse anything. But it does really lack in detail. But what do you expect? It was a Triangle model that they first bought out, and then Hornby around the 80s and 90s they took the tooling and made this, and they're still using it today in the railroad range. But the Hornby Super Detail one is far more superior. Just look at that, and it's more accurate as well. I mean, just look at the two. I mean, one thing's, now the chassis on this one, the railroad one, don't get me wrong, it is right, it's an 060, but it's wrong in the fact that this part here should be covered, because you can actually see the wheels. Well, we can still see the wheels on this one anyway, but you know what I mean. The top of the wheels, as you can see on this one, should be covered. As you can see on this one, which the Road 1 model doesn't have. Also, the side rods are not accurate either. But what do you expect? But you know, this is still nice to have, and again, at the end of the day, it's made for kids. But just look. And even compared to a Bachmann model, this one is still more superior, because it's that stunning. But again, this one is nice to have. And it will still have its place on the layout, because I'm not going to get rid of it. But you know, it won't be used as much, but it will have its place for some shunting. But wow, what else is there to say about this model? Absolutely stunning. I just can't fault it. I honestly can't. I think the only thing left to do now is to put it onto the rails and test it out. Ah, see. You thought I was going to say let's put it on the track and see how she runs, but no. I'm doing something a little bit different today. Okay, so here we are at the track, and we're going to run the 09 on this track today, being that we used that line in the last video. So in this video we're going to use this line. Seems only fair instead of using this line all the time. So here's the 09. And look at that. That was like a 1 second job or something silly like that. So we'll just zoom in on the shunter, not too far, and so now we'll give it some power and see how it runs. Ah, you thought today I was going to say no, let's forget it. Let's move on. Okay, now bear in mind that's not going very fast, but it is actually at full throttle, as you can see on the controller. So there it goes into the tunnel, and as you can see, the tunnel with the narrow gauge project is now extending. We've got a few buildings and walls on it. Well, the buildings aren't there permanently stuck on, but it's just there for now. But they'll probably be moved. Just look how smooth that is. Now the Bachmann one, bear in mind, goes a tad bit faster than the Hornby one, which is unrealistic, because these do not go very fast, they only go like 15 to 20 miles per hour. This speed is more realistic. Let's just zoom in on the side rods there, going round. And passing the station, where the Class 1 to 1 bubble car and pride of the fleet, Commonwealth of Australia there. And then passing the siding where the new Shell oil tankers are, in which I now have a rake of 7. So here we have the petrol station, and the Swan Inn pub, and the shops of some sort. Up there is the sandhouse, and a warehouse building type thing. Then over here we have the large windmill. Oh right, finished my lecture of the buildings. So back to the L9. Well, as you can see, it's a smooth runner, no problems at all. Very smooth mechanism, just absolutely stunning, and the amount of detail on it as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now that we've run it in, we're going to do something a little different, something that nobody has done before when it comes to reviewing a shunter. We are going to get it doing what it does best, and we're going to get it shunting and arranging a train of these vans here, as you can see. Now firstly, what we're going to do is, as you can see, there's 2 vans here in the brake van. What we're going to do is to move this van out of the way, put that at the back where the brake van is, and put this van at the front. That will not be a problem at all. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to reverse the shunter up, and we are going to change the points. We will be putting the point motors in at some point. Okay, so it's up to the first van. Okay, so the first van is now shunted. So now we've got to get that van, the bright van, to the front of the train. Okay, so it's got that van now. Okay, both vans are now coupled up. Okay, so the first two vans are now shunted with the brake van on. And what's going to happen is, when this train is shunted, another engine will take the train away. Okay, so it's got the other vans. Okay, down to the last three vans. Just look at that. So, there's the train arranged for the other engine to take away. So now the shunter's going to roll into the side and out of the way. Well, there's not much else to say about this Class 09. It's just absolutely stunning. And if you don't have one of these, it must be asked why. Get one. You will not be disappointed.